Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you feeling tonight? Welcome to the Speak Up Stand Out webinar series happening this October, brought to you by Unleash Powerful Communication. And I'm your coach, Coach Ayo, who will be hosting this 5-day webinar series. Before we start this program, let me just remind you to kindly go to Ayo Gutierrez Facebook page because that is where we're going to live stream our webinars. Okay, so head over to that page, Ayo Gutierrez, and you can follow and start sharing. It's already being streamed live on that page. Now, as promised, we told you that we're giving you 5 experts, 5 people who have been into public speaking for quite some time. You may find them in different industries, some of them in financial industry, others are working with private organizations, and those who are also, you know, into hosting events, and I'm also a part of it. Just last night, I was one of the hosts for a very important milestone in a friend in the life of my friend. So we're going to tackle all of those and see where we can improve ourselves. Some of you might be having this big exposure already to public speaking, and yet I must assume that some of you are here because you want to learn more. You want to expand your existing skills. You want to learn methods, techniques. Yes. Most of all, what we want to impart to all of you is really the sound principles governing public speaking. So if you are ready, then we are ready. Let me just put this up for you to see and appreciate what we have in store for you this week. So this is Speak Up, Stand Out. As we always say, make public speaking your superpower. And how can we do that? So tonight we have our first speaker. He is an executive marketing director at International Marketing Group, and he is building his global team of budding entrepreneurs. And this is really good because he is well-rounded. He gives talks to corporate entities, to college students, even to high school students sometimes, and OFWs. So talk about his experience dealing or engaging with different audiences, it's already there. Not to mention my better half. So to jumpstart or kick off our webinar series this week, let me now call the one who will talk to us or explain how can we push the right emotional buttons. How can you really engage the audience to make them cry, make them laugh, but most of all, how can you move them to action, to your new way of thinking? That can be learned tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Erwin Abangan.
Hi everyone, good evening or good morning or good afternoon in other parts of the world. So this is an exciting topic that we will be talking about tonight or today because it talks about public speaking. But first and foremost, before we'll go on to our main discussion, let me ask you, especially those who are attending by Zoom or on live, can you think of a film or something that you watched before that you never ever forget until right now? Okay, can you type in sa ating chat box if you remember a movie or a horror film that is totally unforgettable to your experience? All right, can you type in sa ating chat box? So I'll just speak English and Tagalog mix. Okay, and if you were able to watch those movie, why is it unforgettable, and what is the title of the movie? Second question: if you were able to watch a movie that made you fall in love, what is that movie? And even until right now, hindi mo siya nakakalimutan. Ano yung movie na yon? Okay, so even when you were a kid or even right now as an adult, the main question is, bakit hindi mo nakakalimutan yung mga movie na yon? It's either napanood mo siya at natatakot ka or natakot, or na-in-love ka dun sa movie na yon, hindi mo siya nakakalimutan. Okay? It's because people are creatures of emotion. So I remember one of my favorite book by Dale Carnegie on how to win friends and influence people. He said, and I would like to quote, that people are not creatures of logic. We are creatures of emotion. So therefore, when we talk about public speaking and how can we top or push the buttons or the emotional buttons of people, we need to understand that principle that people are emotional. So for this few minutes I'll be talking to you, I want you to take note of the three things or three ways that you will be able to connect with your audience emotion. First, of course, you need to prepare. So Erwin, dapat naman akong talagang mag-prepare. Kailangan kong isulat, kailangan kong i-memorize. Of course, I would agree with that. However, pag natapos yung speech mo, whether memorize mo siya, sinulat mo siya, or bulleted points, this is the first rule. The first way, in order to connect with your audience, first, do not read your speech or read your slides. Because pag babasahin mo yung speech mo or yung slide mo, sasabihin na lang ng audience sa'yo, Erwin, wag mo na ituloy yung training mo or yung speech mo, babasahin na lang namin. Especially in a public setting. Okay? Ulitin natin. First rule or first way how to connect with people is do not read your slides. How can you connect with them kung ang focus mo sa slides? At yung nangyayari pa, yung slide mo, hindi mo siya kabisado. Sinulat mo siya kahaba-haba, pero hindi mo kabisado yung slides mo. At people will gonna notice that na hindi mo kabisado yung tinuturo mo sa kanila. Someone said that everyone can teach, but not everyone is a teacher. Not everyone knows what they're talking about pagdating doon sa kanyang topic or sa kanyang discussion publicly with people. So whether it's a Zoom meeting man yan or sa public audience man yan physically, rule number one or first way, do not read your slides. Second, let's talk about looking people in the eye. Okay? Look at people in the eye. Minsan, magsasabi yung ibang tao o yung ibang mga speakers, ang hirap, Erwin, tingnan sa mata, mako-conscious ako. So, merong ibang technique na kahit hindi mo sila tiningnan diretso sa mata, pero tiningnan mo yung within sa eye level nila. It's either yung forehead nila or yung kanilang, anong tawag nito? Yung kanilang eyebrow. But don't you ever look at their mouth because it will be obvious kung tinitingnan mo yung bibig nila. O yan, lalo na kung lalaki ka, ikaw nagsasalita, tiningnan mo yung babae, siguro ang ganda or ang pula-pula ng lipstick. Alright? It will be obvious na tinitingnan mo yung bibig. So it's a no-no pagdating doon sa public speaking. So if you want to connect to the audience, so make sure you look at them in the eye directly or sa forehead nila or sa kanilang eyebrow. Okay? That's second ways on how to connect with people. Third, okay, way to connect with people. This is one of my favorite ways in connecting with people. Tell a story. Anong story ang ituturo or isi-share mo sa kanila? Depende sa iyong topic. Kung yung topic is about family, so share a story about your personal experience, about your family's experience, your childhood. If your topic is about leadership, find ways to tell a story about your leadership experience. The question is, Erwin, pwede ba ako magsabi ng story na hindi naman sa akin? Pwede naman sa ibang tao? Iko-quote ko lang? Yes, of course you can. However, it is much powerful kung ituturo mo yung galing sa iyong personal story and your family story. Bakit effective siya? Since we are talking about emotions, connecting with people with emotion, yung story mo, feel mo yan. Okay? For example, kami ni Ayo, madalas kami, pag nagtutalk kami, we'll talk about our love story. Okay? Kahit sinasabi ng iba, love story nyo na naman. Okay? But we love talking about it because it is naka-attach po yan sa aming emotions. So when we talk about it, when I talk about it, I talk about it and I speak highly about it with emotion. Okay? So minsan, napapatawa ako or minsan nangingiyak ako habang nagsishare ng story because for me, it has an emotional attachment sa akin yung aming story. Again, kung ano ang topic mo, dapat nire-relate mo yung story mo doon sa topic mo. That is very important, telling a story. And when you talk about stories, of course, it would be important na not so much on negative things, okay? Your topic might be about what you call this, about problems in the world, but you might be saying something like about government's corruption, about a certain leader na kino-quote mo, ayaw mo siya. As much as possible, do not quote those kind of stories. It would be better to use stories that triggers inspiration, okay? That inspires people, motivates people, and move people to action. And as a speaker, mafe-feel mo rin yon kung hindi ka comfortable in telling that story, yung audience na nakikinig will not be very comfortable also in listening to you about it. All right. So again, let's have a quick review on the 3 ways that I'm sharing. Una, in order to connect to our audience, do not focus on reading your slides. Okay? Kasi, pag binasa mo yung slides mo, for example, you have 100 slides, iisipin ng mga tao, Erwin, ibigay mo na lang sa amin yung PDF copy niyan. Babasahin na lang namin personal. Binabasa mo naman pala yung tinuturo namin mo sa amin. Okay? So, it's a no-no to read the slides. Of course, when you have a quotation nandun sa slides mo, okay naman, ipababasa mo sa audience. Mas maganda rin yon. Let the audience read kung anong meron sa screen, especially kung quotation. Pero kung mahaba masyado na mga details nandun sa slides, tapos babasahin mo pa in details, word for word, verbatim, mabobore yung audience. And it would be another topic sa ating speaker within this week, no? How not to bore our audience. Very important yan. Okay? So hopefully you got that. You take notes on that. And second, look at people in the eye or sa kanilang forehead or sa kanilang anong tawag nito? Eyebrow. Parati ko nakakalimutan yung term na yan. Okay? But don't you ever stare. Magkakaiba yung eye contact sa staring. Okay? Nakaka-intimidate yung eye contact. Lalo na pag nag-speak ka or yung staring. If you are speaking, for example, for 5 minutes, isa lang ang audience tinitingnan mo dahil yun lang yung comfortable ka, baka ma-intimidate naman yung audience. Instead, nakikinig sa'yo, hindi na nakikinig. Dahil iniisip niya, ba't ako tinitigan ito? Ano bang meron sa mukha ko? Okay? So, make sure when you look at look at your audience in the eye or you maintain eye contact, so make sure you can look at on the left side, sa gitna, tapos sa right side. Pero wag naman yung bang left, right, tapos so makikita naman nila na parang robot na rin yung leeg mo na palipat-lipat. So just move naturally as if you are comfortable talking to people. Okay? So what matters most that you connect with them with eye contact. And lastly, I told you about it kanina about telling your story. So a great public speaker knows to tell great stories, inspiring stories. So ngayon pa lang, if you're aiming to become a great public speaker, not necessarily na sobrang galing mong magsalita, not necessarily na sobrang fluent kang mag-English, okay? It's not about that. It's about connecting with people with your stories. Na relatable yung story mo sa kanila. Huwag ka namang mag-tell ng story or mag-share ng story na out of this world. For example, you're talking about experience sa Mars, experience sa Pluto, experience in other planets na hindi naman makaka-relate yung general public. So, talk about stories na personal, inspirational, and motivational. And of course, practical stories that people can relate. So I know if you follow these 3 steps and 3 ways on how to connect with people with emotions, then you will be able to translate your message or empower the audience, and your message will be unforgettable to the people who are listening. Katulad ng question ko kanina when we started, kung nakapanood ka ba ng horror movie, nakapanood ka ba ng love story, or any movies that touch your emotion, whether natakot ka or na-in-love ka doon sa movie na yon, you never forget about it. Okay? And of course, let me share to you one of the quotations that I learned so much in my life, that this is one principle that I always use every time I speak, whether I speak sa aking company, whether I speak in public, whether I talk to a person one-on-one. This is my principle. Okay? And I hope you will always remember this principle na tinuturo natin ngayon sa gabing ito, that they may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Okay, maganda ba? Can you comment sa ating chat box if you think this principle is very important to remember? Okay, and I hope and pray that you will also remember that principle as well. They may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Okay? Klaro po ba yan? So kaya, if you are a public speaker, you will be an effective one if you will be able to connect people with emotions. Okay? And another principle, aside from the 3 ways that I talk about tonight or this morning or the afternoon from other countries, let me discuss why or how or what's the difference between logical approach and emotional approach. Okay? For example, ang dami mong alam, ang dami mong natutunan kasi mahilig ka magbasa ng libro. That is a great thing. Kasi paano ka mag-share sa mga tao ng ideas, or how can you speak spontaneously if wala ring laman naman ang yung most important part of your body, which is your brain. Sabi nga, how can you download something kung wala ka rin ina-upload? Okay? So, very important yung knowledge. Very important that you are reading books. Very important that you are listening to audio trainings. Okay? Very important na nag-attend ka ng mga seminars. It's very important na meron kang mga tao nagko-coach sa'yo. So, ibig sabihin, as much as possible, kailangan you put a lot of information and knowledge dito sa iyong brain or sa iyong mind. So that when you explain logically to people, merong sense yung sinasabi mo. Kasi merong mga speakers or merong mga nag-attend, for example, ng mga pageant, or nag-attend ng mga impromptu speeches. So, bibigyan mo sila ng topic or quotation, tapos they try to talk or explain the topic or the statement given to them, pero hindi mo alam kung saan sila pupunta sa kanilang pinag-usapan. Hindi mo alam kung ano ang point nila. Okay? So it's because hindi rin nila alam kung ano yung principle na i-attach nila doon sa sasabihin nila based doon sa pina-explain sa kanila na topic. So the more you learn, okay, so the more you can share your knowledge and wisdom to people. Okay? So when you talk about logical explanation, when you talk, marami kang masabi. Okay? But the second part, which is pinag-usapan natin kanina about emotions, yung logical process or yung logical, yung kanyang emotional explanation. Okay? Bakit kailangan, even though marami kang alam, tatargetin mo pa rin yung emotion. Okay? Ito ngayon ang ano niya, principle. Okay? For example, sinabihan mo yung tao na, okay, ano ka na, yung kailangan ito yung gagawin mo para yayaman ka, mag-save ka, mag-invest ka. Especially on my part as the financial trainer, we often talk about it. We tell people you prepare for the unexpected, okay? Because a lot of older people, or when they retire, wala silang preparation, kawawa sila, okay? But however, I notice na people, hindi masyado silang nagre-respond pag ini-explain ko sa kanila yung mga technical explanation about that. Pero when I ask them about, do you know someone or in the family na naka-experience ng emergencies? And they tend to raise their hand. Ako po, Erwin, meron po ba kayong kakilala din na, anong tawag dito, nag-retire na, pero nahirapan sa buhay kasi hindi sila naghanda at yung kanilang retirement ay kulang, tapos nagkaroon pa sila ng sakit when they grow old, tapos they realize how they wish babalik sila 30 years later. May kilala po ba kayong ganon? Tapos may magre-raise ng hand at sasabihin nila, ako po merong kakilala. Tapos I will always ask this question after I ask the preliminary question. How about you? Would you like to experience the same situation sa mga taong ito na kilala ninyo? And even some people will say, you know what, Erwin, I never thought about that. Okay? And some will say, oh nga, no? Okay. So those are the answers that I receive. And every time I talk, every time I speak publicly, I have a video na sinishare parati sa mga audience. At alam ng wife ko yan, that's one of my ways to use this type of technique, itong emotional explanation or emotional technique. Okay? I will look for a video na related doon sa topic. Tapos before I end my talk, I always show that video. And every time, okay, I can say 99% na pinapalabas ko na video sa aking mga talk, pagkatapos talaga ng video, a lot of people have teary eye, and even after the talk, they will say, Erwin, pahingi nga yung video na sinishare mo kanina. Sabi ko, bakit? Ano bang na-realize mo doon? Ay, grabe, talagang masakit sa dibdib. Yung iba naman sabihin very inspiring, very motivating. So the main reason hiningi nila yung video because may impact sa kanila yung video. Okay? So take note, hindi lahat ng bagay na alam mo nakaka-connect ka ng emotion. You can even use materials like videos or even quotations that will be able to connect with their emotion. So therefore, sa dalawang ito, logical at saka emotional, may nagtatanong sa akin, Erwin, ano ba ang uunahin ko? Logical explanation muna or emotional explanation? Ito ngayon ang principle, and you can take note of this. Use emotional connection first, then back it up with logical explanation. Ulitin ko, use emotional approach or emotional connection first, and back it up with logical explanation. And with that, they will fully or better understand what you're talking about if you follow that pattern. Okay? So, basically, those are the principles na tinuturo ko sa inyo, yung 3 ways and how to check or connect or show emotional or push the emotional buttons of people. Yung 3 ways, tandaan natin, yung do not read your slides. Second, look at people in the eye or maintain eye contact. And third, tell your story or tell a story to your audience. And yung approach para you will be an effective speaker, okay, that is driven with emotion, and at the same time, okay, you will be able to what do you call this, justify yung sinasabi mo sa kanila, kasi mahirap din pag puro emotion lang din, hindi mo binakapan ng information. Kaya use emotion, then back it up with logical explanation. Huwag mong baliktarin. Hindi yung logical muna tapos emotion. So baliktad yon, okay? Although maraming speaker akong kilala na ganun ang kanilang sistema. Okay? But for me, I would always use that type of system. Connect them with emotion and back it up with logic. And as I close this topic or this talk, I want you to remember once again the quotation that I told you kanina, that people may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And another one, pahabol, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I hope and pray that those message will connect to your heart and your mind, and you will never forget those living and timeless principles. And please make sure to convey it to the people you want to inspire. Okay, so before I'll end, if you have some questions, I would be happy to answer your questions if you like to. Okay.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Coach Erwin, sa binigay mong time. And we learned a lot of things. Do you still remember the top 3 ways he shared with you all? How we can connect or engage our audience? So you can type it here sa ating chat box. And we have gathered a few questions from our live streaming on Facebook. And we want to ask Coach Erwin these questions para siya ang sasagot. Okay? So, to start this off, gusto ko yung sinabi niya about the emotional approach. One of the things that can make your audience really engage with you is when they laugh or cry with you, or both. Ang tanong ko kay Coach Erwin is this: how can a person who is not, hindi naman talaga siya humorous in a sense, na hirap siya doon sa part na magpatawa ng mga tao, how can that person pull off such humor na hindi talaga pilit and will make people laugh? Kasi what's awkward is when you give your punchline and then nobody laughs except you. Medyo awkward yung ganung situation. So what can you do to ensure that the audience will laugh if you are not really a humorous speaker? In this case, that is my case. All right. So over to you, Coach Erwin.
Hello. So paano patatawanin na hindi ka naman humorous? Well, una, depende. May iba naman tao na hindi ka pa nagsasalita, natatawa ka na eh. Sa expression pa lang ng mukha nila, or may mga ganon. So kaya, pagdating sa humor, hindi mo kasi siya dapat mapilit eh. Okay? Una, ang rule naman, pagdating sa humor, based on what I know, is don't tell people about that you are joking. Okay? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, let me tell you a joke. Okay? Kasi una, ating topic about emotions pa rin. So when you tell a joke, you are connecting to people's emotion. Alright? Even pag tumawa ka lang nga, halimbawa, nasa public at tatawa ka, may nakita akong video na gano'n eh. Tumawa siya, sa Bisaya pa yun, humagighik. Iwan ko anong sa Tagalog niyan. Basta tumawa siya ng tawa, mga tao, una, nag-wonder ba siya tumawa? But eventually, lahat nagtawanan na. Nadadala na sa kanyang tawa. Kasi nakakatawa talaga yung tawa niya. Pero pagdating doon sa
public speaking and you want to deliver a humorous speech, una, sasabihin ko, you need to practice or master stories or recall stories when you were a child na may nagkwento sa'yo tapos natatawa ka. So try mo siyang i-mimic or try mo i-practice yung mga stories na yon. For example, yung mga ano ba, yung mga stories na yung mga tambay, yun namang common eh, all right? Pero again, when you deliver it to the audience, make sure anong tawag nito? Yung narinig mo na yung story before mo siya i-deliver. Bakit? Kasi minsan, kahit hindi mo siya intention mag-joke, pero naka-attach pa rin sa emotion mo yung joke. Kasi nung bata ka pa or hanggang ngayon, naririnig mo yung joke na yon, na nako-connect mo pa rin sa kanila. But again, you will never connect the story to them, or you cannot connect the story to them unless you master the story. And it's very important yung punchline pagdating sa joke. Okay? Kasi pag hindi ka marunong mag-punchline, mahirap yun. Kahit hindi ka naman joker by nature, pero magaling ka sa punchline, magaling ka mag-timing, then people will gonna laugh at your joke. Okay? So,
So, nasa practice pala yun.
oo,
Before
nasa
you can
practice
deliver
yun.
it right.
Oo. Again, dalawa yun eh. May ibang tao, hindi mo kang joker, pero pag nagsalita na, nag-deliver na ng talk, na joke, okay? Natatawa ka. Pero may ibang tao ka, hindi pa nagsasalita, expression pala ng mukha, natatawa ka na. So therefore, very effective. I-combine mo yung dalawa, expression ng mukha mo, pati yung story mo, yung joke mo, ay talagang the best yun. Panalo ka talaga. Alright? So again, ano yun? Very important yun. Emotional connection. Emotional button pa rin yan.
What I'm getting is, pagkaganto pala mga stories no, that you wanna add in your talk or in your presentation, sabi nga ni Coach Erwin, kailangan nire-rehearse mo. And before doing that, meron ka na rin magandang listahan ng mga stories. Let me ask you, how many personal stories or stories have you gathered throughout the years na kumbaga lagi mong ginagamit?
Oh yes, meron kaming joke sa family eh. Sabi ko, the same story but different audience. It will work as well. Okay? Ang anak ko, alam nila yung story ko. Sabi nila, Dad, yun na naman ang story mo. Pero again, I'll tell you. Every time I tell those stories, or I tell those mga funny stories, different audience or even the same audience will still laugh at those stories. Kasi yung story na yun or yung nire-relate ko, ang mga tao nakaka-relate din sila. So, minsan nakakatawa dahil yung nakakarinig dati at narinig nila ulit, so sabihin nila, alam mo, yung susunod na sasabihin niya, ito yung mangyayari niyan. So, hindi ka pa natapos, nagsabi na siya doon sa audience na, alam mo, gano'n ang mangyari. So, ibig sabihin, hindi nakalimutan yung dating audience na nakinig sa'yo tapos na-relate lang yun sa katabi. Parang movie ba? Nanood ka ng movie, excited ka. I don't know kung na-try nyo na yan. Nagdala ka ng tao, sabi mo, nanood tayo ng movie, ang ganda nun. Pagdating mo dun sa movie, habang nanonood siya, dun, especially dun sa thrilling na part, sinasabi mo na nung susunod na mangyari dahil na-excite ka ikaw mismo. So ganun ang effect nun. Pero of course, pagdating naman sa public speaking, of course, ikaw naman ang may control doon. Kaya, it's very important kahit the same ang stories mo na minamaster mo, tapos different yung audience na different audience kung saan mo siya nire-relate yung story, it will always be effective. Whether the same audience or ibang audience, basta yung story mo is consistent from the heart, okay? By using your own experience at saka naintindihan mo yung story mo, you will be effective. Kahit pa baliktad English mo, baliktad Tagalog mo, katulad ko, narinig niyo naman ako magsalita, talagang Tagalog with Visayan accent. Matigas talaga yung accent ko. Pero I discovered when I first spoke sa public and people laugh at me when I crack a joke, sabi ko, effective pala kahit ganun ang accent ko. So, plus point sa akin yun. Lalo na pag nagtell ako ng humorous na story. Effective yung accent ko. So pag Tagalog ka, tapos sweet yung accent mo, Mag-Bisaya accent ka konti para mas effective.
Proven. Ang I nagiging I, ang I nagiging E. But I love what you said about being vulnerable or showing your vulnerabilities as a speaker. Because most of people I know would always tell me you have to be very eloquent. Dapat sobrang galing ka sa language. Sometimes, if you haven't reached that stage yet, dun talaga tayo medyo nakikripple. And one of the things that we can do, you kept emphasizing this all throughout your talk, is the power of sharing personal stories. And in that, we call it the anecdotes. Ano yung mga personal stories mo nakapupulutan ng aral? Some of them are humorous, some are really, kumbaga dramatic talaga. Things that you can never forget. Kasi nga, these stories will stick out. Yun yung magsa-stand out dun sa iyong talk. Now, let me just give this moment to share what I know about the things I've learned from Ateneo. We had this training called the pedagogical versus andragogical na approach sa learning. And pag sinabi mo kasing pedagogical, it refers to children, how they learn. And children, when they have an adult teacher, they usually just depend on the teacher, what the teacher would tell them things. So, madaling maniwala ang mga bata. When you're going to shift to adult learners, this pack of people, they are different. We are different. Hindi tayo basta-basta mag-welcome ng ideas unless we trust the person addressing us. Ang tawag dyan andragogical learning. Because tayo mga adults, we draw this from our collective experiences, and when a speaker tries to really engage you, kapag ginamitan kanila ng mga experiences mo, mas gusto mo yon. We don't like speakers who are all-knowing, I, me, my. Mas gusto natin yung collaborative, speakers that will tell, I've experienced this, and I'm sure that you have experienced this as well. Kaya nga pagdating sa wide range of emotion, marami tayong pagkakaparehas because most of us have experienced death, sorrow, depression, moments of happiness, yung ating mga dissatisfaction, iba-iba, but collectively, ang dami nating experiences. My next question to Coach Erwin is this. Sa lahat ng range of emotions, para sa iyo as a speaker and a trainer, which among those emotions have greatest impacts kapag yun ang ginagamit mo, or how do you call that word? What do you call that word? Yun yung ginagamit mong emotions, pinalalabas mo sa kanila. Ano yung pinaka-effective? Is it the time that when they would feel so happy, ecstatic, o mas gusto mo yung parang medyo umiiyak talaga sila, nalulungkot sila? Ano para sa iyo ang pinaka-powerful emotions to trigger during talks?
Actually, both eh. So yung emotion na yung ang tawag dito, yung when I started my talk or speech, or especially sa mga public seminars, hindi ako muna magpapakita ng yung emotion na masyadong nakakaiyak, yung mga about inspiration. Mostly I started my talk or my speech by showing or telling a funny story or showing a funny video. So, una, siyempre, bagong pasok pa lang ka sa topic. So, kailangan, i-high mo muna sila. Huwag mo nang mag-iyakan. Kumbaga, kapapanganak mo lang, papatayin mo na eh. Mamaya mo na siya paiiyakin. Okay? Kaya minsan, may nagsasabi sa akin, Erwin, niloloko mo kami ah. Kanina, pinatawa mo kami. Ngayon, pinaiyak mo na kami. So, I have this gift for me. I just discovered this, that I can have a way of manipulating people's feeling. So I can make them cry and at the same time laugh afterwards. Habang umiiyak pa lang sila, tumatawa na rin sila. So it's how you combine your material, combine your speech or or the words or the stories you told them. Okay, that makes a big difference. So like I said, ang aking system parati when I talk, more of more of fun feelings muna, happy feelings. Okay, patatawanin muna sila. Okay, magpapakita ako ng video na medyo bubuhak, ang Tagalog ng bubuhak. O yung
Ano
tatawa
they
muna
call it?
sila. Basta anyway, tatawa muna sila. Tapos pagdating doon
Light
sa gitna,
moments first.
pagdating doon sa gitna ng aking talk, medyo ano na yun, medyo formal. Magpapakita naman ako ng video about lessons of life, okay? Yung pinaka-lesson sa main topic, medyo serious yung gitna, okay? Pagdating doon sa dulo,
Climax na yun.
diyan na ako babanat ng emotional ngayon na 15 minutes before mag-end ako ng talk, dapat alam mo yung feeling nila medyo punong-puno na.
High na high.
High na high. Ibig sabihin, kailangan that emotion will be sustained until after you speak. Kaya alam ni Ayo yan, okay? And for those who know me, na after I speak, pag nakita ko ang audience medyo luhaan na, umiyak na, hindi na ako magdagdag ng message. Kasi the moment magdagdag ka ng message, yung feelings na yon na dapat they treasured the most, na na-inspire sila. Ayan, to answer your question, mahaba masyado yung explanation ko. I treasure the most na after I speak, gusto ko na paglabas nila sa room or after I speak, inspired sila. Na they come to me and they will say, thank you so much. Or they will message me and they will say, thank you so much. I was so inspired right now because of the video or the quotations or the story you said. So I want to have that kind of feeling. So if you ask me, ano ang pinaka-ultimate feeling na gusto ko ma-feel sa audience, yung feeling of inspiration. They will be inspired. Kasi inspiration is long-lasting. Iba yun sa motivation. Sabi nga, you can motivate a person this hour, but later on, they will forget ano yung tinuturo mo. So it's like, at the same time, hindi nila alam anong next gagawin nila. So there's a book that says, Motivated Idiot. Nag-motivate ka ng mga tao pero hindi alam anong gagawin. But if you inspire someone, it comes from a root word, no? In spirit, okay? Inspire, in spirit. So feeling within. So pag inspired sila, ibig sabihin, talagang ano yon, talagang mula sa puso at with spirit yan. Okay, yun lang.
Galing. And gusto ko yung sinabi mo, yung anticlimactic na mga moments. I totally agree with that. And it's also a good advice what we want to give our audience today. Yung bang sinabi ni Erwin na pag high na, andyan na siya, nasa climax na, nasa peak na, make sure na hindi mo i-dwindle, hindi mo na siya papatayin. Kaya pagka meron kang training, tapos yung i-end mo talaga siya in high spirit. Pangit kasi yung bigla ka nag-talk to sabay, okay, thank you very much, any questions? Parang nawala ka agad yung yung spirit nung talk. Maganda yung aalis ka, luhaan pa sila, nag-wonder pa sila, they're so inspired and you're gonna leave. You're gonna leave the stage and them just musing or, wow, grabe, I've heard that and it has influenced me or inspired me so much. Yun yung magandang feeling, hindi ba, Erwin? Kasi yung after nung sobrang naiyak, tumawa, tapos biglang tinanong mo, okay, let's go to Q&A. Tapos na ba? Na-experience natin palagi yan no?
Tsaka, let me interrupt you, no? I just remember, kaya ayaw ko mag-talk na ako yung first. For example, kung 4 kami na speaker, okay, pinagbigyan ko lang si Ayo, ako yung speaker ngayon. Ako yung nauna. But normally, to a combined event na 3 or 4 na speaker, lalo na pag public, gusto ko ako yung last speaker. Kasi ang mahirap nun, one time, nag-talk ako sa isang cooperative somewhere sa Luzon. Ako yung first speaker. Okay naman, napatawa ko yung audience. Afterward, na-inspire. After ako nag-talk, biglang nag-announce, okay, let's go to our, what you call this? Bingo! So, bigla sila nag-bingo. Tapos, wala na. Kumbaga, ang gusto ko sanang maiwan na feeling na yung inspired sila, nag-bingo ulit, nag-enjoy na sila ulit doon. So, kumbaga, nawala yung purpose ko as a speaker. Meron din akong experience na ganun din. Napaiyak ko na rin sila. Afterwards, may pangalawang speaker, nagbenta naman ano-ano. So, sabi ko, parang ayaw ko yung ganun. So, that's why, kung invite nyo ako speaker, dapat ako yung last. Kasi gusto ko, that feeling na gusto kong iiwan sa inyo and message will be with you. Okay, sabi nga, OM ng pakinggan, pero that's my point. And basically, that's my aim as a speaker. So I would always treasure yung emotional side of the deal.
Love it. I am reminiscing a lot of our trainings together kasi palagi talaga kami magkasama ni Coach Erwin, ng aking husband. Kahit saan yan, youth, single adults, in and out of the church, kung saan-saan talaga on various topics. Kaya nga sabi namin minsan, ano pa bang hindi natin i-train na topics, but mostly ang dami, from leadership to motivation to different things, iba-iba, may per dev, ganyan. But it's been a great ride with you, Coach Erwin, with all of the adventures natin pagdating sa public speaking journey natin. So, before we end this, of course, Coach Erwin is here to share who's going to speak tomorrow and some other exciting stuff. So let me go ahead and share the screen as we listen to him one last time. So sino bang magiging speaker natin tomorrow? Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, exciting. So I'm glad that I was able to share to you some important matters tonight. However, don't you ever miss tomorrow's training. Of course, win your online audience attention through charismatic leadership and public speaking. The best yun. If you feel this is a very important topic, itong napakinggan nyo ngayon, wait until tomorrow. And of course, Chrisma is a dynamic speaker and also a president of Toastmasters Club in San Fernando, Pampanga. So I can say na dapat hindi nyo itong mamimiss tong speaker na to. And make sure kung konti tayo or konti lang ang nakikinig ngayon for tonight's training, make sure maghakot kayo bukas. Because ito yung topic at ito yung speaker na ayaw kong mamimiss ninyo. Kaya looking forward to Miss Christmas training tomorrow. And to make sure para you will be able to be part of this training at hindi nyo mamimiss to, make sure you log into www.unleashpowerfulcommunications.com in order to register. And once again, don't forget to share. Okay, sabi nga, because sharing is caring. So if you care for people who wanted so much to learn about public speaking, matagal na silang nahiya sa buhay nila, namatay na lang sa kahiya, sa ayaw magsalita, okay? This is your chance to reach out to a lot of people to learn, to talk, to speak in public, because who knows who will be the next person that you're gonna inspire and to change their life. So once again, this is Erwin Abangan signing off. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A big round of applause to you. Again, thank you for staying with us and for the questions that we have received from you. If there are those whose questions we haven't answered or natakal natin, you can still send your queries to ayo@unleashpowerfulcommunication.com. Let me repeat that, ayo@unleashpowerfulcommunication.com. And if you want to find out about the new course, then you can just head over to www.unleashpowerfulcommunication.com. So tomorrow is gonna be Coach Christmas time to train you on charismatic leadership. I love that. Dapat may charisma ang isang speaker. Iba yon. Kasi pag nasa crowd ka na, you will truly shine if you know how to activate this power, which is called charisma. So, parang sounds like charisma, charisma. Kaya pala ganun yun. So with that, let me leave you this, that you can speak up and stand out, and you can unleash your power. Make public speaking your superpower. See you again tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.